There's one top crypto coin that is often overlooked, but in reality is one of the most important, most crucial, most groundbreaking, most principal cryptocurrencies in existence. What if I were to tell you that one of those right now, from a risk-reward perspective, is in one of the best periods we've ever seen it at? And right now, I've been stacking this coin up like a madman while most people are fading it. What if I were to tell you there's one of those coins? Well, the coin I want to talk about today is called Chainlink. Now, Chainlink, as it currently stands, is in the 12th position at around $23, not really doing too much throughout the week, you might say. But essentially, what Chainlink does is it takes real-world data. You can take, for example, a football match. Who won, right? What was the score? It's one thing to have it in the real world, to have this data, but it's another to have it verifiably on the blockchain to act in, for example, DeFi or whatever. Let's say you have these prediction markets. How do they verify the data that's being fed to them is actually correct? Well, Chainlink does all of that with regards to oracles, and that's cool and all. For that reason alone, I'm pretty excited about Chainlink. But there's two specific things I'm watching right now that are making me even more excited. One of those being the fact that some treasuries, right, some new companies out there on Nasdaq, for example, are going to be holding and buying a massive amount of Chainlink to basically hold on their balance sheet. You might not understand it, but the principle of the crypto market recently, the whole 𝗕𝗓𝗄𝗧, has been for these companies to try and increase their stock price by going for a crypto and buying their entire treasury full. As a matter of fact, even raising more money to buy more of that crypto. So it's kind of like a loop. It helps them increase their stock price, which allows them to raise even more money, which hopefully increases their stock price even more and make a lot of revenue off of the purchases, the yearly fees, etc. So one of the coins that's been really exciting for it recently has been Chainlink. I mean, there's multiple. There's Solana that's been really exciting for it. There's AVAX, and you can kind of name a few. But Chainlink right here is one that I think is often overlooked. But additionally, it has another interesting risk-reward factor based on some data, which I'm about to show you in just a second. Now, over on a monthly perspective, this does not fully count, but on the shorter term, there's something quite interesting happening to Chainlink. Matter of fact, if we take a look at the max pain numbers, what becomes quite interesting for Chainlink is the following. Let me quickly show you right here. So if we take a look at Link, right? So if you look at this list, it says strongest consistent long. Why? Well, if we scroll through over on the short term, there's basically a clean upside bias, short squeeze potential for the fact that on these shorter terms, the max pain for shorts is actually significantly closer than the max pain for longs, which you want to see. It gives the potential of some sort of squeeze. But Chainlink apparently pushes this through all the way, also having a similar sort of sentiment on the 2-week and monthly, very bullish long horizon. And in this case here, being named as one of the best positions potentially for a long right now. Now, if you're wondering how I am currently trading Chainlink, the primary thing I'm doing right now is actually I set up a bot for Chainlink. By the way, if you're interested in all this automatic trading that I'm doing, it's basically, I'm going to call it passive because there's really not that much attention you have to pay to it. But of course, you got to be wary, you got to add margin, whatever necessary. Regardless, it's the first link in the description down below. I'm trading this over on Payonix, all automated, all very, very simple. But let's take a little bit of a look. We've got a couple $100,000 in these bots right here, one of them being Chainlink. If I quickly scroll through to find the exact bot we're looking for, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my price targets, a little bit about my settings and my thought process. Here, for example, we have ourselves a $12,000 Chainlink bot times 5, so about $60,000 worth of a Chainlink bot. What is the plan? What is the idea? Well, the bot basically buys more Link as the price goes down all the way towards, in this case, $17 here is what I set up for it. And it will basically buy as well all the way up towards $32 with some small sells along the way. How? Well, if you take a look at transactions, for example, you can see as the market moves down, it starts to buy, it starts to buy, it starts to buy. And then every single time it buys, it's also looking for a sell slightly above it. And so every single time the market gets volatile, you can see here it traded 260 times today already. We make a little bit of profit. In this case here, it might only be, let's say 20 cents a trade, for example. But if it can trade hundreds of times a day, that's a lot of money we can make on Chainlink alone, besides the fact that it also bought a ton of Link at $17.50, for example. And right now, you can see it's up 42% on whatever amount of money we put in back then. Right, it's just slowly but surely gaining in a position as well. But the grid profits are profiting over the last 55 days. We put out 17%. It's profiting off of Chainlink's volatility. If we're talking about the Chainlink price, we saw some shenanigans a little bit earlier because of the inflation data, but for the most part, it's been a slow but sure grind towards the upside. An interesting note is how we went down from the peak a little bit earlier, but in reality, really, when you zoom out a little bit for Chainlink, what you can see, in my opinion, is a pretty strong chart, specifically because it's been basically upwards only since the beginning of April here. And I'd say that one of the more interesting things to watch out for Chainlink here is we formed a very strong bottom, and right now are getting very close towards the top of the start of the cycle, let's call it, the start of the alt season of earlier this year, basically this little October to January period we saw. It's getting very, very close towards that top at roughly $30. And the moment it breaks through, well, theoretically speaking, we're back in this little discovery area. Now, of course, theoretically speaking, if we're talking about the top from 2021, it's still $50 we have to beat. We're not officially in price discovery, but if you start taking a look at Chainlink from the longer perspective, right, you can see it's basically ever since that dip came after the massive bull run of 2021, it's been a slow but sure upwards movement, very steady steps. Let's quickly zoom out a little bit. Here you go. Very steady steps, and the only thing we're waiting for right now is for Chainlink to finally make that little, let's call it, appreciation move and the real breakout, which hopefully is sooner rather than later. And we kind of expect the moment that Chainlink does break out for it to be a pretty crazy move. I won't call it like the thousands of dollars, but I definitely think the moment that Chainlink does break out of this range right here, it's going to be a pretty quick journey back towards the all-time high. And this could be ignited, for example, by an Ethereum move. And pretty quickly from there, I don't think it's going to take too long for it to reach above 120, something like that, dollars. But even if it doesn't go for that massive breakout rally, I still think that right now it's quite easy to buy purely from the idea that some massive companies want to put it on their treasury, or I guess put their treasury inside of it. Why not just go with the flow? Thus far, for almost any single one of these cryptos, it's worked flawlessly, and some additional signs are pointing towards Chainlink being in a really good position right now. Why not go for it? I mean, really, when you start breaking down what Chainlink does, it's significantly better than a lot of cryptos out there that are doing way better numbers. I personally would like to even argue that Chainlink right now is quite undervalued. I mean, at the end of the day, it is at the top of its range. So theoretically speaking, some could argue that this is where it kind of breaks down for, can you see it? Yeah, there we go. Kind of break down for a little bit before moving back upwards. But then again, most of the numbers would counter that. And just logically, almost anything in the crypto market right now is pointing towards that upside. And so that's also what I'm rooting for here. We can talk about some bearish scenarios, sure. We can talk about the market coming down, but I think it's more effective to talk about what if the market were to tick up here, which coins would gain the strongest, which ones have good reason to gain. And I think one of the coins that's really in the top of the top segment, meaning quite a low chance of failure, not zero, but quite a low chance of failure, is Link, with also being quite undervalued in comparison to the rest of the market. Solana hit a new all-time high earlier in the cycle. We had Ethereum just now reaching the all-time high. We had XRP reaching the all-time high. Everything has practically gone towards those heights. Chainlink has been quite behind, even though fundamentally it's superior in a lot of other ways and is getting a lot of backing, also institutional backing like we're seeing right now. I think Link is in a pretty fortunate position right here. I've got myself a good amount of Link here. And also, I'm just going to be adding towards my bots here, right? We already got ourselves a $60,000 bot. Relative to the rest of my bots, it's quite a large size, but I still need to get myself even more. It always feels strange to do it when you're in profit, which is the sucky part about it, but I think it's going to be a necessity. But again, the nice thing is it's all fully automated. I've got all my settings over in a sheet, which I share with you guys all. You can just find it. Link is down below for it, or you can check out the Discord if you want to. And links to sign up are also down below. By the way, just one more day for our competition. Let me quickly find it here. One more day for our trading competition to end. If you've not joined it yet, it's completely free. Link is down below as well. You can win $1,000 or at minimum $100. 10 people will get $100, as you can see right here. Some will get 1,000. Pretty nice. And if we scroll through, out of all the 40 people-ish that have entered, it's actually pretty cool, but only 4 have done bad. So, 36 people have actually been pretty successful with the bots over the past couple of days here, as the competition has already been running for like a week or two. I'm pretty happy to see that. Some people have actually been doing even way better than I have, being plus 500 to 60%. I mean, even if I look at all my bots and we take a little bit of a look at it, some of my better ones have been, for example, this ETH bot that's up 190%, second being ADA right here. I'm quite surprised somebody was able to generate such crazy numbers, like 500 and whatnot percent. I got to learn from them, but I'm very happy with the way in which things have been going. All my bots have been extremely successful over the past couple of weeks. I mean, come on, we're up hundreds of thousands of dollars on them. And I think this is just the start as, well, 2 things. One, if the market gets volatile, we'll make a ton of profit. But more importantly, if the market moves up, this is going to be crazy, specifically because I added a lot of coin margin bot recently, which basically are are going to be generating me coins. For example, Sol here, put 100 Sol in, and we're up 3 Sol. Or XRP, I put 40,000 XRP in, we're up 500 XRP. I hope this is going to be stacking really, really quickly over time. You know, for example, we put 8 ETH in, it's up 0.2 ETH. We put some SUI in, it's up in SUI. You know, I love that principle. 0.2 BTC in, it's up a little bit in BTC. You get it. Anyway, to conclude, I think Chainlink is quite cheap here. I've explained my thesis. I've explained where I think it can head. And again, it's just, in my opinion, one of the easier gainers of the cycle. Just follow along the flow of the money, like we've done for Sol. Like it's just been really, really easy the past couple of weeks. It doesn't have to be too hard. Even though, if we take a look at Solana, even though you may not think it's been doing much, if you look at Ethereum has been absolutely flatlining recently, not done anything. Solana has been a slow but sure upwards movement. And so I'm just following along with the money. That's all I'm doing. It's really been simple like that. And that's about it right now.